Want tighter, clearer mixes and want a way more enjoyable time setting your mix levels? Most mixing gurus will say you need to get your gain staging under control. But I have a controversial take on gain staging, and I'm going to show you how I've been getting way better mixes by doing way less than everyone else when it comes to setting your pre-mix levels. So before I share, why should you listen to me? Well, number one, you certainly don't have to. And number two, I have a top-rated mixing service where I spent years mixing full-time before I ever made a single video. You certainly don't have to listen to me, but what I've been doing definitely has worked for my mixing career. So I'm going to share it with you. So here's where I get controversial about gain staging. Most YouTubers will tell you to get every single track sitting at minus 18 to minus 12 dBFS before you start mixing. And while setting those exact levels is not bad advice, I don't even look at those numbers. I don't care. I could literally care less what the numbers are. I only care about one thing, and I do care about this one thing, but it's the only thing that matters for me, and it's headroom. I just ask one simple question, and then I move on with my mix. Do I have plenty of headroom no matter what gets thrown at me in this mix? And instead of setting each track really carefully to like NASA level pre-mixing headroom targets, I don't waste my time with any of that. I just do these three simple things I'm about to show you here that give me all the headroom I need to start mixing. And with that, I'm able to stay in the creative flow without stressing about any perfect pre-mix levels. I get to relax, and all I care about is how my song sounds after mixing. Okay, so looking at my session here, I brought in the drums, bass, guitars, vocals are over here. And it's really simple. I'm just looking at the tracks and I'm getting a visual feel on what the gain is like. And if I have a track that's too loud, I just pull it down. I want to give myself headroom to think, okay, I'm going to be putting some plugins on this and I'm going to want a little extra space to maybe do a bit of EQ or something. So I'm just going to look at my tracks. I don't even have to play the level. I'm just going to even mute them just so we can see where the meters are coming out at. Okay, so some tracks are a little bit too loud and some are too quiet. Look at this track. That's gonna maybe need a little bit of gain to get into my compressor or whatever I end up doing on it. And look at that, I just brought it up a little, giving myself some extra level. I'm seeing these hats. We're pushing into the yellow a bit on them. It's not a big deal at all, but I just might bring that down a little bit. So guess what I'm doing? I'm eyeballing it. Can you believe it? Just eyeballing it? Yep. Literally don't care. I'm just going through here. I can see my floor tom mic is a little bit hotter than my rack tom mic. Let's check out rack tom. This is a healthy level here. That's fine. I might want a little bit more gain on this rack tom when that's going into a compressor or whatever. So I'll turn that one up a bit. This is all looking fine. Great. So that's literally all I'll do. And then I'll go through the rest of the song. Okay, I got the bass amp. Bass amp's looking a little hot. That's actually coming in quite a bit hot. I'm going to just bring it down. Bring the gain down. Eyeballed. There we go. Now I got headroom. And notice how I can scroll and change my waveform size. This isn't gain. This is just waveform size. I'm just bringing that down and up to see how it relates to other tracks that are at like a healthy level or whatever. And to me, a healthy level is not looking somewhere specific where it's hitting and going, okay, that's like the ideal exact range. I'm just saying, is it starting to push yellow? In which case, like I might not have a ton of room to do extra work on it. But even then, it's not a problem if it's hitting yellow. Like I just want headroom. So this track, obviously the bass was too hot. See that? Okay, so I just brought that down. And I'm just gonna go through my session and just gauge what's going on. So here's a fill guitar, right? That's a little quiet. If I'm putting a compressor on, I'm gonna have to really drive the input gain or like really duck the threshold down. Totally fine to do that. Don't care to do that, but also can make my life a little easier and just bring the level up. So there we go, now we got this guitar. I'll actually play this one for you. And it's sitting a little closer to where like the other guitars in the session are before it was here. So I'll bring it up. In fact, I could even bring this one down a little. So I'll literally just scroll through my session like this. The lead vocal here. That's fine. A little bit of yellow, that's totally fine, don't care. This one looks a little quiet. It's still a healthy level, but if I'm gonna be using a similar chain just to make it easier going into those compressors, I'm gonna just bring the volume up a bit. And so I'm doing that in Pro Tools. I'm just clicking on it and going Shift Control scrolling, and that's the same as just grabbing here and just doing a bit of clip gain. And now I've gone through my session. I brought some really quiet things louder. I brought some louder things quieter, and I don't overthink it any further than that. So that's the first thing I do is just eyeball and clip gain raw tracks. Now, I took my time doing it here because I was explaining it, but this is something I do in like a matter of moments going through my track. Just scan the tracks. No meters, no rules, just headroom. Number 2 is turning up your monitoring, turning up your actual headphones, or if you're mixing on monitors, turning up your monitors on your monitor knob, the physical knob, not in your mix, because what most amateur mixers do is they'll accidentally start clipping their mix bus. So let's make a mix bus where we're sending this all to. Okay, I got a track here that I just called mix. And usually I'd have like sub buses and sub routing and everything. But just as an example, here's our mix, right? I'm gonna grab all these, bring them down. And so what most amateur mixers will do is they'll bring in all their levels, right? Okay, and this is not a mixing demonstration. This is just showing you like, okay, I got some levels up. And what they'll do now is just start pushing really hard if they want more volume out of their mix. You know, they want to turn something up to hear it a little bit better. Instead of turning up the volume knob on their control station, they'll turn it up here. We're getting louder. We're getting louder. We're getting louder. Oh no, those guitars are loud. Now I'm going to push my drums up more. And oh no, now we're clipping. We haven't even brought vocals in yet and we're clipping. I'm being a bit silly about it, but you can get what I mean. Is like once one thing comes into the mix, it's easy just to go in and turn the other thing up and turn the other thing up and turn the next thing up. And before you know it, your mix bus is just slammed. So here's what I do first. I turn up my headphones so that I'm never in a place where I'm convincing myself to turn things louder just to hear them better. I have my headphones turned up loud already as a starting point. And then as I mix, when I'm bringing in my initial levels, I'm not pushing them way up here to hear it because I didn't set my monitoring level properly. I'm only mixing in this range down here. I'm never having to mix up here with my levels, you know? I've got a healthy level on the tracks, which I eyeballed beforehand on the raw files, and I turn my headphones way up, so now my mix is all happening down here. And I'm not worried about getting this all super loud right now. That comes later, and that comes in mastering. But there's one more trick I do to make the mix even louder so that I have enough headroom to work with, and it's never an issue. And this is number 3. Hey friend, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and turn on the bell notification icon so that you get my future videos about mixing. Don't forget to hit that like button too, because it really helps out the channel. All right, let's dive back in. So this is just to use something called the 6 dB trick. And if you don't know what that is, basically on my mix bus, so this is my mix bus here. And so what I do here is on my mix bus at the very end of my mix bus inserts. So usually around 3/4 of the way through my mix, I like to start putting some things in my mix bus, maybe a bit of compression, bit of multiband compression. Usually I don't go too crazy with it, but at the very end of all those plugins, and especially at the very start, I'll just put as my very last insert on my mix bus, a trim plugin. So in Pro Tools, this is called trim. In Studio One, it's called utility. There are all sorts of, and it doesn't matter which plugin you use for this. All you're wanting to do is add 6 dB of clean gain to the end of your mix bus. And so you'll start your mix, even if you don't have anything on your mix bus at the start of your mix, you'll literally start your mix with 6 dB of extra headroom. So that way, as you're mixing and as you're bringing in instruments, they sound loud already. And what's going to happen is when you do hit that clipping point on your mix, you know, typically what I'll do is just keep a little bit of an eye on my mix bus. As I'm mixing, I'll hit that clipping point 6 dB sooner than where it actually is going to occur in my mix. So I get red lights on my mix here, and that's fine because it's just a little bit of transparent clipping. But if it's like aggressive loud clipping, I know my mix is way too hot already. But it never gets to that point because one, I've turned my headphones up, I've got good levels on my tracks to begin with, and I'm just literally keeping my mix, you know, it's not always this low. Sometimes a track is up here. It's going to depend. It's going to vary in my mix, but I'm never jamming my faders up like this. Like sometimes I get Pro Tools sessions sent to me to mix, and some of the faders are just pushed so far, the mix bus is clipping, it's all like out of whack. So before I start any mix, everything gets routed out of the same output, which in this case is going to be this mix bus here. And at the very end of that, even before I put anything on my mix bus, I add 6 dB of gain so that I'm hitting the point of clipping 6 dB sooner than it's actually occurring. And I'm just getting more juice out of my session. I'm getting more juice out of my session. I don't have to get juice out of pushing my compressors and adding limiters and squishing everything everywhere. Sure, I use some clipping and some loudness things throughout the session. I'm never driving my mix so hard to the point of like no dynamic range. And when I do, it's intentional. But in terms of gain structure, I don't care about any fancy minus 18 to minus 12, this and this and this. Don't care. It's these three things, which if you do every time, it's going to work on your mix. Now, if you're actually wondering, okay, what should I put on the tracks then to get good sounding mixes? Well, that's something I can help you cover in my home mixing cheat sheet. It's a free resource. It's absolutely free for you to download. And it's a chart with my go-to settings for all sorts of things like EQ, compression, even possible effects for every instrument you can imagine, from guitars to drums to bass to vocals, strings, synths, the list goes on. It's a one-page chart. It's super simple. It's going to help you. The link is at the top of the description. That's free to download. And when you grab that free cheat sheet, I'll give you all the information on how my mixing mentorship works too, so that you can find out if it's a good fit for you. Other than that, friend, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button if you can. Happy mixing, and I'll see you next time.